Some of the people that are picking up and moving all the way across the country to live in Idaho end up coming to regret that decision 1 year or 2 years down the road, and they end up moving back to where they came from. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, the 12 reasons you might really regret moving to Idaho and end up leaving. I recommend you listen to all of them. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Trent and I'm a real estate agent here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. On this channel, we talk about everything there is to know about life here in Idaho, where to eat, sleep, live, work, play, and buy real estate. So if you're interested in that, make sure you tap the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so every week when we come out with a new video, you get notified. Well, let's dive in, guys. There are 12 reasons that people end up leaving Idaho after they move here. And some might ask, Trent, as a real estate agent, why would you want to tell people about those? Well, honestly, guys, this is my home. I've been here for 30 years, and it's no good for anybody for people to pick up, move here, buy a house, do all that work, and then only to find out that, hey, I really don't fit in here. This is not a place for me, and end up either having to leave or trying to change it. One thing that I can say for sure is the locals here, we don't mind some of the growth, but we definitely don't want to see people moving here from blue states and trying to make it more like the place they came from. If you read the comments in some of my videos, I promise you I'm not making that up. All right, so the first one, guys, the first reason why people end up regretting moving here, they do not take our seasons seriously. They don't understand that the sun does not shine all year round here in Idaho, especially in northern Idaho. They're coming from places like California, places in Washington and Oregon, sure, they're gonna experience about the same kind of weather, but coming from a place like Florida or Texas, where it's really, really nice all the time, we just don't have that here. In fact, the CDC highly recommends that everybody be on a pretty good dose of vitamin D, because a vitamin D deficiency can lead to all sorts of problems. And so a lot of people, they end up moving here thinking, oh, Idaho is gonna be great, and they don't understand how important that sunshine is to them. So if you're someone that needs a ton of sun, this is not gonna be a place for you. Number 2. Now, this is for people that are moving out of big cities thinking, I'm done with that big city life. I just want to go live in a really small town. Idaho has a lot of really small towns. The biggest city is Boise, and the Treasure Valley area has over 800,000 people in it. But if you're living outside of that, it can be a real shock when you go out and there's just not that many people, there's not that much stuff to do, and some people realize, oh, actually that was really energy charging for me. I really enjoyed the city life, but they thought for a minute, because big cities are having a pretty hard time right now, that I need to get out of here. Well, just know, if you come to Idaho and you move to a small town, there's gonna be a different culture. There's gonna be a different feel. People are gonna be more laid back and easygoing, and just don't like people that are in a rush all the time and are being rude because, oh my gosh, you're not moving fast enough. That's not gonna fit in. You're gonna have to adapt to the local environment. So just be aware that if you're coming from a big city, it's not gonna be like that. Now, the third reason people regret moving out here is they come from a nice, flat, city-like area, and they're used to that. What they don't understand is, especially up in North Idaho, there's a ton of mountains. Down in central Idaho and down in the Boise area, just a couple hours away, you've got the Sawtooth Mountains. You got lots of lakes, you have forests, and people aren't necessarily used to that. They're not used to having to drive over passes, especially during the wintertime. That can be really scary. In fact, I remember as a kid when we first moved here from California, my friend's parents were driving us down from the mountain, and there was a snowstorm, and we were in a Suburban. This was in the 90s. And that Suburban lost traction and started spinning down the freeway because they too were not from here, and they didn't have the proper snow tires or chains, and at four-wheel drive, that's not gonna do you a ton of good when you start sliding downhill. So there are some dangers to it. There is an element about living in the mountains, around lakes. Lakes can be dangerous too. People die every single year in the lakes around here because they don't take it seriously. They're jumping off of cliffs, not realizing that there might be logs underneath there, because there was a lot of logging done, especially up here on Coeur d'Alene Lake in the river. They call them deadheads, and they float just below the surface, and people will be hauling on their boats and can hit those. So there are dangers to it, and if you're not used to it and you get up here and you start going around those things, you might actually not like it. So something to be aware of. Number 4, if you're used to the city life where there's nice, flashy, fancy cars and plenty of roadways and people generally know how to drive, well, Idaho is not going to be the place for you. We do not have very good drivers here. I think we rank number 7 in worst drivers in the United States. And there's lots of big trucks on the road. Down in southern Idaho, where it's more of the desert mountain area, you're gonna have pre-runner trucks, which are super cool, but they are very aggressive trucks. And up in North Idaho, lots of big lifted trucks on 35s. I mean, they are cool looking if you're into that, but if you're not, they've got loud, smelly exhausts, and believe me, the drivers here, they're just not that great. You will be sitting at a stoplight, and the light will turn green, and after about 10 seconds, you're ready to punch that freaking horn because the person in front of them is on their phone.
Hey kids, look, a deer!
It's just a lot more lackadaisical up here, and people just have not adapted to all the changes. So if you don't like that, if you're not used to that or can't put up with it, just know that's how Idaho is. Number 5, a big reason people regret moving here is they think that it's gonna be a lot like the city. There's gonna be lots of stuff to do indoors. But honestly, I mean, in Boise, absolutely, you've got plenty of that stuff because it's a big city. You've got concerts, you've got plays, you've got things to do. But in the rest of Idaho, it's really all about the outdoor activities. It's about hiking and skiing and paddleboarding and boating and hunting and fishing. That's why people come here. But if you're not into that stuff or just think, oh no, I'll totally be into that. Understand, outdoor activities typically mean you need to be in good shape. You need to be prepared to get some scrapes and bruises because a lot of times, like downhill mountain biking, you're gonna get beat up. Even skiing, all that stuff requires physical exertion. And so I prep for it. I've been working out for the last year because I want to get back out on the snowboard mountain. I've had back issues that have prevented me from going out there. And so during the winter times, if I'm not in shape to go do that stuff, guess what? Winter can kind of be a drag. So you need to be prepared for that. If you're gonna enjoy being in Idaho, you wanna be ready to do outdoor activities, which means you gotta prepare for it. Number 6, and people, I mean, I don't know how this is a mystery to people, or maybe they don't believe it. Wildlife in Idaho is very real. I go hiking all the time and I've run right into coyotes because I wasn't making enough noise. And they're pretty much silent going through it. We came basically face to face. Luckily that coyote was smart and took off running, but that doesn't always happen. There are people that run into bears because they're not being smart and can get attacked. There's deer, moose, elk, they're all over the place. It doesn't take much to get out into the woods and see them. And in some places like where I live in my neighborhood, we do have deer that come through the neighborhood. We have raccoons, we have coyotes. So wildlife in North Idaho, if you're not used to being around wildlife and it kind of scares you, Idaho is not going to be the best place to live. Now, down in Boise, it is a lot more populated down there. There's not as many animals that come, downtown, but it does happen from time to time. I have heard of elk herds that have gone through parts of the city. It's a long time ago, but it can happen. So just be aware, you come into Idaho, there's gonna be wildlife. And that's what attracts a lot of people here. But if that's not what you're looking for and you don't understand that's really how it is, this might not be the place for you. Number 7, if you don't like golf courses and churches, Idaho probably isn't gonna be the place for you. There's a lot of churches, especially in North Idaho. I swear there's a church on almost every corner. They do a lot to help the community, but just know that's how it is. And golf courses, especially in North Idaho. Right around me, there's about a dozen different golf courses. Down in Boise area, there's golf courses there. There's a lot of golf in North Idaho, and it's really, really beautiful. It is very seasonal here. You're not gonna be getting out and playing past October, November. You usually have to wait until April, May to get back out there, and even then the conditions are gonna be horrible. But it is a thing here, churches, golf courses, there's a lot of them. Now, number 8, I would say this is the most important component to knowing what you're getting yourself into when you move to Idaho. People in Idaho have a conservative view. They're laid back, they don't like change, they want things to stay the same. So if you're a really progressive thinker and think that change is the way to make things better, you are not gonna have a great time here. In fact, you go around and start talking about that stuff, most people are gonna go, you've come to the wrong state. So just know, Idaho, that's what makes Idaho really great for a lot of people, is it's very conservative thinking. Don't want things to change. I mean, things are gonna change with all these people moving here, but we're trying to keep it as much the same as possible. So if you're coming here to want to change things, please don't. Number 9, this is a really serious one too. If you don't like snow, you gotta take it seriously. Idaho, there are parts of Idaho where, hey, they're not gonna get a ton of snow. Boise doesn't get a ton of snow. But places like Idaho Falls, up north in North Idaho, oh my gosh. I mean, it's not, a lot of people, they'll look up and go, what's the average snowfall? That can be very misleading, because when it says average, that could mean that, hey, for a few months, there was 0. But then all of a sudden there was a couple weeks and there was 3 or 4 feet of snow on the ground. Now this is really rare. Down in McCall, that area down there, not rare. You're gonna get a ton of snow down there. North Idaho, it is rare to have such a massive storm that it causes major problems. We've got a good system up here for clearing the roadways, but you need to have an all-wheel drive car. You need to have snow tires. You need to be prepared and learn how to drive in winter. But just know, you're coming to Idaho, snow is gonna be a thing. Number 10, this can be a big shock for people because they think Idaho conservative, really low taxes. Idaho has a sales tax and they have income tax. The sales tax is on everything except for service. So if somebody comes out, you're not gonna get taxed on the hourly rate that they're there, but all your food, all your gas, everything, every purchase you make is gonna come with a 6% sales tax. And the income tax can range from 1.2 to 6.785% on your income. So if you're coming here and the margins are thin, you need to know that if you're working in Idaho or living in Idaho, you're gonna get hit with that income tax. Even if you work in a different state, if you live in Idaho, they're gonna get a piece of your income. So that can be kind of a shock. That can really screw people up when they move here and they're like, okay, it's gonna be tight, but we can make it work. Just know you gotta look, you gotta talk to an accountant, find out what your tax bracket's gonna be and count on that being taken out of your check every single week that you get it. Number 11, people move to Idaho thinking, I'm just gonna be in a small town, it's gonna be super laid back, there's not gonna be a lot of events that take place. That's actually not true, especially up here in North Idaho. In fact, today is the Coeur d'Alene Street Fair that takes place, and the entire strip of downtown is taken up with different booths. You can buy art stuff. All the shops downtown have a stand. You can get really good food. We have a car show that takes place called Coeur d'Alene. There's fireworks shows during 4th of July and New Year's. There's a lot of stuff that actually goes on. And down in Boise, same thing. They've got really cool farmers markets. Lots of places in Boise. A lot of the small towns do farmers markets. So there are events that take place. There are community events. So if you're looking for a place that just none of that stuff happens, it's not gonna be for you. Number 12, this is the last one, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Number 12 is, if you don't like to have to drive to places to go somewhere, Idaho's not for you. Now Boise, it's a lot more targeted just in the city, but there's Meridian and Eagle and the towns around Boise. Sometimes it can take 45 minutes if there's traffic longer to get there. And even in Coeur d'Alene, things are really spread out. There's just not one central area where you can do your grocery shopping. You can go shopping for clothes. I mean, Riverstone's probably the closest you're gonna get to that, but there's not even a grocery store down there. So you're gonna have to be driving around. And if you wanna go to like the ski resorts, you're gonna be driving anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to get there. So there's lots of driving. You are going over mountains. Some of the roads can be dangerous. You have wildlife that crosses them. So if you like to just have a really centrally located, everything's right where you need it, you can just take a real quick Uber to get somewhere, this isn't gonna be the place for you. Idaho doesn't have that. As it grows, gets more popular, I'm sure there will be towns that start to realize, hey, it's only adding to the traffic if we make people take drives to go to where they need to go. Let's start creating towns that have more of that centrally located. I've heard of those in development, just haven't taken place yet. I don't know what's holding them up. But just know, if you're living in Idaho, you're gonna have to drive to places. So guys, that is it. Those are the 12 reasons you might really regret moving to Idaho and end up leaving. And I'm not saying these are negatives. I'm just saying for some people, if they're not aware of this stuff, it can be a big shock and cause you to regret that decision. I don't want that for anybody. Now, if after watching this, you say, shoot, Trent, I can deal with any of those, give me a call, shoot me a text or email. If you have questions about getting set up here, that's why I'm here, to help people move to this awesome place, to help the right people move to this awesome place. I don't want people coming here and wanting to change it. So give me a call. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Could you handle these things, or would you end up regretting some of this stuff? And until the next video, guys, I will see you later.